Story time. Special.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond Straight Street. This is the new segment we'll be doing called Story Time, where I read you faith-based stories, mostly short stories that I've written. The title of today's is The Dove and the Dandelion. So here goes. There was once a girl who was physically appealing, strong, smart, and fast, though she had never considered herself so, nor did she behave as such. She was also kind, demurring, and meandering, so much so that she often got lost in her thoughts. Something as simple as the delicacy of a brightly colored flower, the sound of the wind, or the smell of a spring rain. She was the kind of person you'd like to get to know. However, this girl carried with her always a pain so great, a burden so heavy that she would run and run as hard, as long, and as far as she could to try and escape it. So she ran. She ran for so long, so fast, and so hard that despite her best effort to elude it, the sheer magnitude of her burden finally got the better of her, and she buckled under the weight. Time and gravity had at long last done its worst, and all but turned her bones to dust from work and wear. As she kneeled there, in desperation, angry and tired, frustrated by the best and earnest effort she could give to elude her constant pursuers, she finally felt defeat. For the first time, there wasn't any more, or even any way more, that she could move to shed the worst of what she had worked so long and strained so mightily against. Then something inside her just surrendered. Not a physical condition, mind you, but in spirit, heart, and soul. Something deep within acknowledged that she could not take even one more step. It was then that the oddest of things happened. A feather, resembling a seed from an already bloomed dandelion, fell from someplace near, but separate from her, and came to rest gently on her shoulder. Almost immediately afterward, before she even had time to acknowledge it, she heard something like birds' wings beating and perceived that a creature had come to rest on a rail in front of her. The next thing she noticed was a voice, still and small, but full with life and power, speaking to her, though not exactly to her, more like inside her, like fragrant oil running down over her head, and the warmth of what she thought must be the best hug she'd ever had. It simply said, "Hello there. You have a pretty heart." Through sweat-drenched hair, tear-soaked eyes, and muscles in her neck that now felt as though they may never stop throbbing, she glanced up to get a look at the source of the voice she heard and saw what appeared at first to simply be a small dove. Only, as she allowed her vision to clear and focused a bit more, she could see that there was much more to whatever this was than just a simple dove. In fact, it was so wonderful looking as she first beheld it, she could hardly find words to describe it. Still feeling frustrated and desperate and defeated, she did manage a weak, however dubious response. "How would you know?" she said with what little strength she had left. It looked at her curiously and ever so softly replied, "I know, my love, for I am the only one who can truly see you. I know, for I am the one who wove it together and placed it there." At this, the girl could only stare, and she began again to weep, not bitterly as before, but now with a confusing relief, because somehow, some way, she understood what it had said to be true. The creature spoke again, and in that moment said the words that she would later realize she had been longing to hear her entire life. It said, "The time for weeping is finished, daughter. Do you see the feather on your shoulder?" "Yes," she said. Her sobbing began to subside. "And what of it?" The voice from deep inside replied, "I've come to visit you today to take away your pain, to remove your burden, to heal you and make you well again. The feather is my gift to you in return for allowing me to do these things. Though it is no ordinary feather, it carries with it a burden of its own, a light and easy burden that will remain with you, even as I will, for all eternity. As soon as the voice had ceased, it was as though the feather had evaporated along with it. Only it was more so as if it had been absorbed into her. All at once, the crushing, titanic, massive pain, the brokenness that had only a moment ago overtaken her, the weariness that she thought might never go, suddenly had been lifted and replaced by the most inexpressible jubilance and freedom imaginable. She turned her gaze away from where the feather had been to look back at the source of the voice that had spoken such wonderful words to her. But as swiftly as she again fixed her eyes on this lovely creature, she heard the sound of wings. And in the same way the feather had so suddenly evaporated, it too had gone. Only this time, the girl was certain it had not left her, but moved into her. Before she knew what she was doing, her legs, now completely healed, and her body, now completely relieved of the weight she had once carried, rose up strong and tall with all the beauty and strength and agility she had ever known, and began to move forward again. Only now her pace was that of the wind, her stride as light as the air, as she proclaimed aloud, almost like a question, "I'm not running anymore?" It was then that the voice from before spoke again. Only this time it was more prominent, more pronounced, and it sounded almost like her own, only more alive. "You were running, daughter, only now forward and toward, not from or away." "Why?" she asked. "Because," the voice exclaimed, "I am only gentleness, humility, and rest. The burden of the feather that I spoke of is freedom, wisdom, and love beyond imagining. It belongs to you now, even as do I, and you to me. Your race is now a call to battle, a call upward, a call to speak power and life, to steward the gift you've been given by giving it away in the same way you received it. You let me worry about the how, daughter. Only follow me." "Okay," she said, still curious, but knowing that every word was worthy of her regard and trust. "Abba, where are we going now?" she asked. "There," the voice said, and directed her to study the horizon. She saw some distance away what appeared to be another person, hunched over and unmoving. She couldn't distinguish much else, but she soon understood why, and managed a small grin. "I see now," she said, then lifted her head, straightened her back, poised herself once more, and allowed herself to be led boldly and proudly into the light of the setting sun. Well, that's our story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.
Story time. Special.